Which conspiracy theory is so believable that it might be true? The Reddit search function is intentionally bad, or not purposely bad, but they know how to fix it but refuse to encourage more new posts. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you googled Disney Frozen you would get information about the movie and not websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. Cops go on wars and leave random police sightings to cause people to slow without actually having to stay and check on people. Michael Jordan's first retirement was actually a suspension by the NBA because of his gambling. The real reason Apple removed the headphone jack was to try to remove Square Pay systems as a competitor for Apple Pay. Edit. First gold comment. Thanks guys. Rob Gronkowski didn't actually injure his groin after scoring his 69th career touchdown. He just thought it would be funny appropriate. Snapchat worked with the FBI to popularize and secretly test and improve face recognition technology. We went from wow, this is like magic to this is totally normal in a few years, and there's no way that the technology isn't being by law enforcement. Lotteries are actually traps for time travelers. The development of the F-35 fighter jet is so over budget so the military can fund other top secret projects without making a new line item on the budget. It's the only conspiracy theory I believe. Trader Joe's makes their parking lots small on purpose to make them seem more popular than they really are. Suck Al Kanane. DB Cooper. The gentleman that disappeared with $200k after jumping out of a Boeing 727 that he had hijacked. Took the money and created www.imdb.com. One of my favorites is that the government was behind Throwback Thursday in order to get us to digitize and upload pictures that they would not have had access to in order to improve age progression facial recognition algorithms. YouTube in a mobile browser is so shitty so they can force you to use the app and not use an ad blocker. Multiple football World Cups have been influenced either by governments hosting them or other entities out for their own gain. 2002 South Korea, Japan, and 1978 in Argentina are the two most obvious ones that come to mind. Long John Silver's is some kind of money laundering scheme on the basis that they have been open for as long as I can remember, but I have also literally never seen a busy Long John's. Toxic delusion that I ironically entertain? Perhaps? The oil and coal industries invested heavily in killing off nuclear power as an attractive alternative. These days we have reactor designs many times safer than other methods of generating power. And the waste issue is something that could be fixed with sufficient investment. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory at this point. But a lot of people still don't acknowledge that your internet searches and social media profiles are absolutely being used as training models by major IT companies. I was a drunk college student and had access to them to run our e-training. If you still think you're off the grid, you're an idiot. Being frank, it's not a big deal if you don't have dark tea to hide. Those people are too busy building the new technological world to give a shit that you look at midget porn. But don't delude yourself to think people don't have access to anything you do on the internet. And to further that point, privacy in public is non-existent. When you're in public, in a city, you're on camera something like every 6 minutes. More in denser areas. So don't go freaking out when someone takes your picture or films you acting like an idiot. If you have your cell phone with you, you're being tracked. How else does Google give you specific traffic congestion details in real time? All over the world. The Laurel Canyon Conspiracy. Basically, if you look at the counterculture revolutionaries in the music industry in the 60s, most of them were the children of military intelligence people. So the theory is that the free love, lots of drugs movement they inspired was done intentionally to distract the youth from a full-scale revolution. The thought was if the angry youth of the mid to late 60s were too high and getting laid all the time, they would stop caring as much about societal ills and then basically sleepwalk through the 70s. Which they did. I stumbled upon this when I was reading up on Jim Morrison and how his father was the one who called in the fake strike at the Gulf of Tonkin that kicked off the Vietnam War. and which was shown later to have been a false flag. Turns out, a lot of his contemporaries were also children of highly placed military people with ties to intelligence. Strange that they all wound up in Laurel Canyon as part of the same movement. The CIA was involved in selling crack to low-income black neighborhoods to fund activities they couldn't get approved by Congress. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people believe there was some involvement and it's just a matter of degree. But I think they were nuts deep in directly smuggling and selling crack through intermediaries to black communities with full knowledge of the Justice Department and executive branch. And X200B. Edit dudes. I just want to clarify the fact that the CIA was involved in some degree of drug smuggling is generally considered a well-attested fact. The degree to which they were involved in the proliferation of crack, the motivations behind this, and the degree to which the president knew of and condoned or even ordered all of this is a little more debatable. That research of thorium as a safer nuclear power source was suppressed in favor of uranium research due to uranium's ability to be weaponized. Edit. On my lunch break and see that this kinda blew up. A lot of good information in the comments. I'm not a physicist or an engineer. My field is environmental studies, so safer, cleaner energy is important to me. That being said, I obviously have not researched this topic enough. It just seems to pop up in conspiracy topics often. See YouTube. Looks like a good discussion. I'll have to read through it all after work. The government spreads insane conspiracy theories that conspiracy nutters will latch onto to distract from actual conspiracies. Like flooding the conspiracy market to devalue conspiracies. Edit. Dear Allah. I get it. Michael Scott. The Office. Stanley. Gossip episode. Do you guys ever check to see if anyone else made that comment? There's an underground PR firm that helps celebrities fake their own death to escape the harshness of the limelight or if they feel like their life is in danger. Tupac, Biggie, Paul Walker, etc. Memes about the NSA and other spy programs are encouraged by the very agencies spying on us to twist the idea into the absurd and to humanize their agents. I don't have time to type it all out right now, but the entire situation surrounding the construction and operation of the Denver International Airport is strange, even by non-conspiracist standards. Have fun in the rabbit hole. There's a conspiracy theory that Flight 93 was shot down by hastily scrambled jet fighters and/or missiles in the interest of public safety, and that the government made up the relatively wholesome "the passengers decided to fight the hijackers and sacrifice themselves" story to keep up morale. I don't know whether it happened or not, but I can entirely believe it might be true. That your phone's microphone is constantly hot and it's listening for keywords to target advertising. Most glaring instance where this happened to me was when I walked into a colleague's office. He had just gotten a standing desk, but one that goes on top of his existing desk rather than a standalone, comma model. That's important to note. I said nice standing desk. When did you get that? Thanks. Just today. He replied. That was literally all that was said about the desk. We talked about work related stuff and as I walked out and checked my phone, there was an ad on Facebook for that exact model of standing desk. I have never owned one, wanted one, or googled one before. Yet there it was on my feed. Tinfoil hat be damned. They listen in. All social media platforms are direct result of Patriot Act and are used to keep tabs on everyone. Hence the billions of users. With algorithms to keep you addicted to the constant information and the dopamine-inducing likes. The ballistic missile threat that was sent to Hawaiian cell phones saying, "Seek shelter, this is not a drill," that was later deemed a mistake, was a real missile that was intercepted before impact. That Russians are behind the anti-vax movement as a way to thin the herd immunity for the next generation of Americans. Nuclear war is old news. The next big threat will be biological. The rich orchestrated the recession back in 2008 to take advantage of the market. There's a huge conspiracy among the wealthy and elite to kidnap and or pay children. We've gotten close to it. Epstein. Jimmy Savile. The decades of credible rumors out of Hollywood. In recent years with Me Too and the congressional harassment epidemic, one would hope the real story can come out. Car companies kill cheap public transit. They bought up the trolleys and streetcars in major American cities and made them all go out of business. To promote automobile sales. Operation Northwood, 1962, is a legitimate declassified CIA operation to blow up military and civilian targets, commit acts of terrorism in the US and blame it on the Cubans to start a war with Cuba. Thankfully President Kennedy rejected it. But it makes you think. The one from Reddit 5 or so years back where the guy claimed music industry giants teamed up with people heavily invested in the private prison complex to promote gangster rap which encourages criminal activity, thereby landing more underprivileged minorities in private prisons. The one that I heard last year seems entirely possible. Adam Sandler makes movies for vacation spots for his group of friends. Can't find the original way someone put it, but that is close enough lol. Close bracket. I don't see them where I live now. But what's I was living previously. There were a ton of these have written signs advertising that you call the number listed. And they'll pay you cash for your house. There were a few for cars too. But probably 90% of them were something along the lines of we buy houses for cash with a number listed. No more context than that. They were all sloppily handwritten in black marker with the phone number being the biggest thing on the sign. I fully believe that they were posted to initiate some kind of secret meeting. They'd all pop up all at once just everywhere and then most would disappear a few weeks later and then pop up again a month or two after that. The signs were so ugly that you'd have to be a complete idiot to think they were legit, so maybe they were just scamming and trying to Nigerian prince it. UFOs are just time travelers from the future just checking us out. They keep their distance so not to disrupt anything and to cause a butterfly effect that may affect them. 23andMe and other direct-to-consumer genetic testing is actually part of some eugenics program. i.e., they can start a dating app that perfectly matches people based on their genes. Aliens haven't developed the tech to travel faster than light. So they created memes to hold humanity's progression until they arrive and take over. Our smart devices are always listening, data being stored, sold, not just search history, social media use. A couple months ago, my sister came over to give me a birthday present. I had never heard of the item before. So I had never searched for it, talked about it online. I had a cell phone in my pocket and an Alexa in the room. We talked about the item in that room. Later that evening, an hour or two later, targeted ads for that exact item were showing up all over my social media feeds. JFK accidentally shot by his own Secret Service agent who turned round when Lee Harvey Oswald fired. Doesn't exonerate Oswald. Explains why there was a cover-up. And fits the ballistic report way better. That this exact question gets posted every week in order to advance the big karma industry. That the Bird Box challenge was totally made and pushed by Netflix to promote their movie. And their posts saying not to do it are just PR stunts to save face. I don't know how the details would work. But it doesn't seem that far-fetched to me that grocery corporations would pay meteorologists, weather reporters to exaggerate the weather in order to sell groceries. Grocery stores make a killing. And big weather gets 10% off the top. Maybe. Everybody wins. Apostrophe. This might be in here already. But the push for $15 minimum wage was created and supported by the companies that would most negatively be affected. Fast food, McDonald's. Shipping, Amazon warehouse workers. etc. to drum up negative public perception of these workers as entitled. Why should they get $15 HR flipping burgers when I'm making $25 HR doing, insert considerably harder job, and these jobs aren't for supporting a family? Then, when they inevitably ask for too much, as they were secretly supported to do, make the switch to automation and virtually all these jobs Public perception will be behind the corporation standing up to the entitled losers and make the transition easier on the company's annoying SI that take at least 2-3 years of true public use to perfect. No one will feel bad. And now those low skilled workers will be out of a job with virtually no mobility. The reason that Prince Philip crashed his car last month was so that when you googled Prince Philip car crash it would return results from the event of 2019 rather than how he arranged the death of Princess Diana from behind the wheel of the never traced white Fiat Uno. Marketing companies take control of the Reddit content we see by posting and using thousands of fake accounts to add comments about whatever they want you to support or agree with. The CIA flooded ghettos with crack cocaine to both fund their Central American shadow wars and to hold back the civil rights movement. Getting two birds stoned at once. Shane Dawson's accusaries are paid PR pieces. He gets paid to make people look as good as possible. They're all fake heavily edited puff pieces that the subjects pay him for. It's a win-win for everyone involved. Shane gets the views and the subjects get good PR. It'd actually shock me more if it wasn't true. Bigfoot, to be honest. I mean, there could be some unevolved human thing running around. That Dodge's bipolar son actually killed his mother and OJ covered it up. The DoD is sitting on unhackable internet voting technology but refuses to release it because accurate elections would disrupt power structures both home and abroad. Yuri Gagarin was not the first man in space, but rather the first person to survive the journey. And X-200B. There is evidence from various ham radio stations around the world leading up to Yuri's flight that suggests that Russia attempted multiple unsuccessful manned trips into low orbit before getting Yuri back alive. This theory is given credence because of the notorious secrecy of Cold War era Soviet Russia, their tendency to erase embarrassing people from official records, and because Yuri's pod broke apart on re-entry, causing him to have to bail out of his pod in the upper atmosphere and parachute back to the ground. Yuri actually held the record for the highest free fall ever as a result of his pod breaking apart until his record was broken in 2012 by Red Bull and Felix Baumgartner. The Death Star was an inside job. First you find out that the station was destroyed by some farm kid who had never flown an X-Wing before, and that sounds hokey enough, but then it turns out the number 2 guy in the Empire is this pilot's dad and he wasn't on the station when it blew up. It's fishy as hell. I'm not buying this crap about a bunch of rebellious kids in an aluminium falcon.